We're ready. Hey, Toaa, thanks for joining me today. We're here to get to know you as an artist and an instructor. I know we had a conversation with you last year about some classes that you were teaching and getting to know you a little bit, but just wanted to meet again because you have 3 upcoming classes here. One is going to be on site. It's a portrait painting in oils and acrylics. And then we have 2 online classes with you coming up as well. Let me show everyone where to register for these classes on our website, which is scal.org. Can you see my screen?
I can, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So this is our website, scal.org. And here under the Big Learn button here or on our menu, you can find all of our upcoming online classes. So beginning April 26th, we have an online class with Toaa, Art Topics for Artists. And this goes into several different things. I believe a different topic each class. And then an on-site class beginning May 4th, Portraiture in Oils and Acrylics. And then an online one-day class, Art Topics for Artists, all about the portrait.
That's it.
Yeah, awesome. So
yeah, that's 9 classes, right? 9 sessions right there.
Yeah, 9 sessions worth of classes. It's super exciting. So Toaa, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as an artist, if you could, and share with us about your classes.
Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah, it was really exciting to start teaching for the Art League. That was last October, actually, and then sort of a lot of things kind of got in the way, but we're picking it up and running with it now. It's really exciting, and particularly exciting that class, I think, on the 4th of May will be my first in-person class of any kind in a couple of years. So that's kind of a big deal. And am I right? Is that May the 4th? That's Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah. So that's there. So there you go. That's got to be a good omen right there. But that's what's really exciting about that. And portraiture will be portraiture in oils and acrylics. So that's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. The other class is we're trying to resist calling it an art history class because we're afraid if we use the word history, people will think that it's boring, but it will be anything but boring. It's really, really exciting as an online class. We tried to do a lot of things online because we couldn't do them in person. But this is actually something that came through that's actually better online than it is in person. And it's really exciting to continue that and to see if people will respond to that. Because unlike, say, being in a lecture hall with a big screen where I'm showing you like a PowerPoint presentation, this kind of class seats you in front of your own monitor or your tablet or whatever it is, and you can see everything perfectly. And I can draw shapes on the screen and bring pictures together. And it's just a fantastic way to sort of curate a custom art exhibit around a certain topic, particular artists or particular subjects. And it's really thrilling. And then the other class is a sort of a follow-on to the in-person portraiture class. So if you're doing that in-person portraiture class and you want to do like an art history class where we explore the history of portraiture, I'll show you some examples of this. Then that's a 2-hour class that will be on the 24th of May. And that'll be really fun too. That kind of goes with either one of the other classes, the in-person portrait class or the art history class, the art topics for artists. So let me show you, let me start with the in-person portraiture class. Wow, let me get rid of all this stuff. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, good. I'm trying to find, here we go. We did a class, an online class on Saturday. I do an online class here from my studio every Saturday. And the one that we did, we're doing a couple portrait topics. And this is the one that we did last Saturday. This is a painting by John Singer Sargent called Neapolitan Boy. It's a lovely painting, actually. And here I can kind of breeze along here and you can see the process and how this works. So there's a separate camera for my palette and you can see the picture here. I'm starting with some measurements. You can see how this progresses. Doesn't have to look like the little boy yet. It just has to look like something in the right place and the right size. Now I'm taking to the palette and I'm mixing the colors and blocking in the colors for the background. Hopefully well, I kind of digressed into art history a little bit there. That's something that I like to do. Now we're blocking in the colors from dark to light. And in the portrait class, we'll talk about all of this. Gets refined over time. Now I'm going to block in the hat. I wish I could really paint this fast. That's the same thing I always think when I look at these videos. I wish I could do that in real life and just kind of fast forward. I'm a very impatient painter, which is part of the reason why I like John Singer Sargent so much, by the way, because I think he was very much like that too. So you can see here we are blocking and making some refinements. Now this is really represents a good start on a painting like this. And all of these different parts would be refined over time if I was going to continue with this. Here's some pictures of John Singer Sargent, actually. He was a famous artist in his day, and here's some really funny cartoons of him. He was famous for this very aggressive style of painting that people likened to jousting with the canvas. And so you can see here, he was famous enough to merit these cartoons in his life. So kind of interesting. So that gives you a sense of how I would proceed with a portrait. And in the class will be divided into 4 segments, and we'll begin with some basic considerations. We'll start with some drawing exercises, and we'll talk about proportion and anatomy a little bit and so forth. And then in the final couple, then people are going to be able to paint a subject of their choice. And we're going to offer it in acrylics or oils, so people can choose either medium, or they may even want to try both media. That's a topic for discussion. And then they can bring in a subject of their own. I'll have lots of pictures people can choose from if they're looking for inspiration. But you could do a painting of paint your peeps, paint a member of your family, paint your grandchildren or your whatever, so that there's an emotional attachment to your subject. That's something I like to do. Let people choose their own subject, and then they have a connection to it that creates. People tend to do better when they feel some kind of emotional connection to the subject that they're painting. Now the art history class that I was talking about, let me talk about that a little bit. I can find the appropriate. Why am I not finding what I'm looking for here? Here we go. This is art topics for artists, and each week is a different topic. It's a 2-hour class, and we dig deep. I'm going to show you lots and lots of pictures and explain how they relate to the topic. And so, for instance, the first one that you're looking at here, the topic is perspective. Last October, we did a class on composition. And this here is a class on perspective. We'll talk about the history of the development of linear perspective and how that changed artwork and the kind of art that people make. And that's a whole interesting topic. The next week is color and contrast. We're going to, again, look at lots of examples of art through history. Here you have artists ranging from Caravaggio to Georgia O'Keeffe to Kehinde Wiley, is a great artist, a contemporary artist a lot of people haven't heard of. You have Renoir here, and this painting of the New York rainy street scene is by a great American artist named Child Hassam. So we'll be talking about color and contrast. The next week, the painterly approach. You're going to make up your painting of brushstrokes. What do those brushstrokes do? How do you express your feelings about the world and create an emotional response in the viewer by the way you paint your subject? How do you address the subject? And here we have Richard Diebenkorn and Henri Matisse, Claude Monet, Vincent van Gogh, and a great American painter named Edward Potthast. It's also an opportunity to learn about some great painters that you may never have heard of before. And then the final topic is subject matters. What subjects do we choose? My favorite of all time is the painting of the golden retriever looking at the tennis ball. But in a way, that's sort of like the stand-in for all of us at the museum. We all have something that we love to look at the most, that inspires us the most. And here's an example of some of the different kinds of subjects that people have chosen for their artwork. And then the week after that is a class about the portrait. This is a separate class, a standalone class that goes along with the portrait painting class, where we're going to dig deep into some great portraits through history. And here you have Rembrandt, John Singer Sargent. You have, let's see, Leicester, Judith Leicester, and Frida Kahlo. And then this is by a great American artist named Robert Henry. He really did pronounce it Henry and not Henry, by the way. I don't know why, but that's I'm just trying to be correct. So it's an opportunity to really dig deep into all of this, and we have these pictures in high resolution too, so you can zoom in and explore the nature of the brushwork. I'm trying to find one of the things that's really wonderful to do that we'll explore. Two of the great self-portrait artists that are so well known are Rembrandt, and here are some portraits throughout his life of Rembrandt, and these are some of the most famous self-portraits in the world. And then another great one that people are familiar with, of course, is Van Gogh, Vincent van Gogh, who was also famous for his self-portraits. Here's a couple of these, and I've rounded all these up. We're going to look at them chronologically, so you can really see. Now, Rembrandt showed his entire life from a young man to an old man in his self-portraits. Van Gogh really only painted for about 10 years. So we don't see him aging very much, but we do get a sense of who he was. And in a way, there's nothing deeper, really, more revelatory about a person than a self-portrait. So that gives you a sense of what those classes are about. Now the portrait class, the in-person portrait class, here you get a sense. You have a picture of me here. My palette, you'll be able to see we'll explore how you mix the colors. Flesh tones are an interesting issue. And here you have 3 portraits of mine arranged across the top that I chose because they all show you something different. They all have there's a little bit of a different style, a different kind of color cast. There's a lot of freedom in portraiture. As long as you're consistent, you can get away with all kinds of different sort of approaches and color schemes. So it's a rich medium. And here you can see those portraits that I used in a larger scale. This is more impressionistic. This is more maybe photorealistic, photographic. And here you have one. This is based on a really compelling photograph. And we're also going to talk about some specific things about portraiture. In particular, I wanted to show you this because this gives you a sense of a kind of a method having to do with the features, in this case with the eye. And I can show you a little bit here. You have a particular angle to the light source. And part of what that does is it creates a really interesting optical effect where you have a bright highlight on the sort of shiny, wet outer part of the eye that favors the direction of the light source. But then the iris, the colored part of the eye, which is recessed behind the lens, behind the curved part, displays the highlight on the opposite side. Same thing with the white of the eye here. It's an effect that everybody's familiar with because we've seen it our whole lives. But it's interesting to kind of sort of unpack it and explain it and allow people to apply this to their own artwork. You can see the same effect on the other eye, the highlight on this side, and then the reflection on the iris on the other side. So gives you an example. There's similar kind of tutorials about the nose and the mouth. How do you paint lips? How do you mix flesh tones? How do you consider the background? What do you do with the rest of the painting? Everything around the subject, what do you do with that? How do you keep it from competing? And there's all kinds of depth to it. It's really going to be a lot of fun, and being in person will enable me to really dig in and show you specific things about your own portrait, the specific challenges to the face of the portrait that you're trying to produce. So, I'm sorry if that was a little too long-winded. But,
No, that's great. It's really exciting to get to know more about the classes that you're going to be having coming up.
mhm.
And I think you're right too. These online classes are great and everyone has a front row seat, but for that portrait painting class, it's going to be so nice to have that specific direction for those specific things that are unique to each person's portrait and what subject matter they're covering.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
And
It's pretty exciting.
I can actually take my brush and show you, see, like this. Take a little red and mix it in with the blue and see what happens, this kind of thing. Sometimes, especially for beginners, and I want to make the paint a lot, the in-person class, I want beginners to feel that it's accessible to them too. I don't want people to feel like you need to already be a painter or know how to paint portraits to attend the class. And one of the things that's great about being there in person is if people start to go off the rails, I can rescue them. I can put them back on track, and people tend to do much better. It's a really good way to kind of paint beyond your skill level, to attend an event like that. The presence of other people and the energy they bring. There's a lot of positive energy too. And one of the things that we do is, share our work. Show everybody. Do this in the online classes too. But and people are very, especially other artists, give really, really good constructive feedback. They're much less likely than people who haven't had the experience of making art themselves to say things that hurt your feelings or that might be counterproductive. So it's a very positive experience in terms of getting some vital information to get going, staying on track, feeling accomplished, actually making paintings and feeling good about them, and then discussing them with others and getting meaningful, productive feedback.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing more about these classes and what we can expect. I'll just briefly show everyone again where we can register for these classes, if that's okay.
Right.
Okay.
I want everybody to register.
I know. This is Toa's first on-site class with us, so it's going to be super exciting and lots of fun. This is our website, scal.org. Right here on our menu, we have this Learn button, which features all of our classes. Toa's first online class is going to begin April 26th. It's right here, Art Topics for Artists. Clicking on each of these brings you more information and talks about what's going to be taking place in the class, gives you more information on the dates and things. Just going back to the list of them, right here is the second one beginning May 4th, portraiture in oils and acrylics. So for that class, you're able to choose to use oils as your medium or acrylics. And I think you said potentially both if you wanted to.
There is a way. Well, we'll have several days. So you may choose to use a different medium on different days, but you can also do an underpainting in acrylic, which is water-based, and then that'll dry quickly, and then you can paint oils on top. So that's another thing people might want to experiment with.
That's true. That's a good point. And then we also have this standalone workshop on a Tuesday afternoon, May 24th. It's an art history class all about the portrait, which will be really interesting and engaging and would be a great addition if you're taking the portraiture in oils and acrylics class on site.
Exactly.
So hope everyone can join us. It'll be lots of fun. Great way to start the spring.
Yeah.
Positive energy, great art, and feeling accomplished. So
that's right. There you go. Feel accomplished.
yeah,
come in and make those portraits. Yeah.
exactly. Thanks everyone for joining us. Hope you have a great day.
All right. Thank you.